Hello students, welcome back to our channel. Students, in this video we will study some very important topics from class 12th physics chapter nuclei. We will study about the nuclear size, the formula for nuclear density, various properties of nuclear forces, and most important, nuclear binding energy. So let's start. Let's first talk about the size of nucleus, and in this topic we will see some important formulae, and using those formulae we will find the formula for nuclear density and we will find the value of nuclear density. So this topic is very important. Many questions come from this topic in CBSE exams. So students, if we consider that the nucleus of an atom is spherical and let us say the radius of that sphere is r, right? So we have a formula for r, right? Let us say the mass number of this nucleus is A. Mass number is always denoted by A and atomic number is always denoted by Z. What is mass number? Mass number is, you all have studied mass number and atomic number in class 11th, in class 10th, in class 9th. So mass number is number of, we all know that nucleus consists of protons and neutrons. So mass number is what? Mass number is simply number of neutrons plus number of protons. Mass number is number of neutrons plus number of protons. That is mass number, right? So let us say the mass number of this nucleus is A. So formula is the radius of any nucleus is directly proportional to the cube root of the mass number, right? More is the mass number. Obviously, if the mass number is more, that means the number of protons and number of neutrons in the nucleus are more. So if mass number is more, then obviously the size of nucleus will be more, right? So that's why R is directly proportional to some power of the mass number, but that power is 1/3, which means that if suppose the mass number increases 8 times, then the radius will be twice because the cube root of 8 is 2, right? So if we remove this proportionality sign and put an equality sign, we will write a constant R naught. So this is the formula. We have a value for this constant. I'll just write it. So we have this formula for the radius of a nucleus, right? This is a formula for the radius of a nucleus. Okay. So what is the value of R naught? The value of R naught is 1.5 into 1.2 into 10 raised to power minus 15 meter, and minus 10 raised to power minus 15 meter is also called femtometer, right? Femtometer. So, or in short, it is called FM, not the radio wala FM, it is femtometer, right? So the value of R naught is 1.2 femtometer, right? 1.2 femtometer. And remember that there is one more name for 10 raised to power minus 15. 10 raised to power minus 15 is also called Fermi. Always remember that femto is a general prefix. If 10 raised to power minus 15 is present in any value, then we can use the prefix femto, right? If it was 10 raised to power minus 15 seconds, then we can call that femtoseconds. If it is 10 raised to power minus 15 joule, we can call that femtojoule, right? So femto is a general prefix which is used first for 10 raised to power minus 15. But when we use the word Fermi, That means 10 raised to power minus 15 meter. Fermi cannot be used for other units. It is used only for the meter. So 10 raised to power minus 15 meter is called Fermi, right? Okay, so using this formula, we will find the density of a nucleus. Density of a nucleus. We all know that formula for density is mass per unit volume. So if the density of nucleus is represented by rho, we can write it as mass of the nucleus divided by the volume of the nucleus, right? Mass of the nucleus divided by the volume of the nucleus. So what is mass of the nucleus? Any particle which resides in the nucleus is called nucleon. And we know that there are two types of particles in the nucleus, which are neutrons and protons. So both of them collectively called, they can be called nucleons. Yeah, proton is also a nucleon, neutron is also a nucleon. And since A is the number of neutrons plus number of protons, so we can say that number of nucleons are A, right? Number of nucleons are A. Now let us say mass of each nucleon, is m. There is a slight difference between the mass of proton and neutron, and let us ignore that difference, right? If we ignore that difference, we can say that the mass of neutron and proton is equal. So let us take that mass as m, and total, so mass of each nucleon is m, and the total number of nucleons in the nucleus are A. Therefore mass of nucleus is what? Mass of nucleus is m into A. Mass of nucleus is m into A, right? Okay, so what is density? Density is mass per unit volume. इसको मिटा दें, चलो ये तो नोट हो कर लिया ना तुमने. So density is mass per unit volume. So what is the total mass of the nucleus? It is m into A. And volume of the nucleus, we have considered that the nucleus is a spherical body. So volume of the nucleus is 4/3 pi r cube, right? So rho is what? 3m A divided by 4 pi r cube. Now let us put the value of r, which is r naught into A raised to power 1/3. R cube is r naught into A to the power 1/3 ka cube, which is this. Or if we cancel this A, then it is 3m divided by 4 pi r naught cube. And the value of this m, which is the mass of each nucleon, is 1.67 into 10 raised to power minus 27 kg, and value of r naught is, value of r naught अभी हमने लिखा, that is 1.2 into 10 raised to power minus 15 meter. So if we put these two values here, we can find the density of the nucleus. So if we put these two values and calculate this is 2.3 into 10 raised to power 17 kg per meter cube, which is very high. So which means that nucleus is very dense, right? What is the density of water? Density of water is 1000 kg per meter cube. So if you take a box of 1 meter cube, like if you take a box whose length is 1 meter, whose breadth is 1 meter, whose height is 1 meter, then the volume of that box is 1 meter cube. And if you fill that box with water, the total weight of the box, if we ignore the mass of the box, then the total mass of the water which is there in the box of volume 1 meter cube is 1000 kg. Now if you fill that box with nucleus, with the material of nucleus, then the mass of that box will be 2.3 into 10 raised per 17 kg. So you can have an idea from this value that the nucleus is very dense, very dense. In the nucleus, particles are packed very tightly, which is amazing because nucleus is made up of neutrons and protons. And since neutrons are neutral, they do not exert electrostatic forces on other particles, and protons are positively charged, so they should repel each other. So there should not be any kind of attractive force between the nucleons. Still, these nucleons are packed tightly, very tightly. So that means there should be some other force which is responsible for the formation of nucleus other than the electrostatic force, because there is no electrostatic force between proton and neutron, and electrostatic force between proton and proton is repulsive. So both these conditions are not in favor to form the nucleus, right? For the formation of the nucleus. So there must be some other force which is responsible for the formation of nucleus. And yes, we have a force which is responsible for the formation of nucleus, and that force is called nuclear force. So it is nuclear force due to which nucleus is formed, and these nucleons are packed very tightly. So we will now study about the properties of the nuclear force. So what is a nuclear force? First thing, it is the strongest interaction. In class 11th, you must have studied about the 4 fundamental forces in nature, right? There are 4 fundamental forces in nature: gravitational force, electromagnetic force, strong nuclear force, and weak nuclear force. So this one is the strong nuclear force, which we are going to discuss now. It is a strong nuclear force, and it is the strongest force among all the 4 forces. It is 10 raised to power 38 times stronger than the gravitational force. So it is the strongest force, right? So this is a force which is there between the nucleons, and this is the force due to which nucleons get attracted towards each other, and this is very strong force. So nucleons, they start attracting each other, and the nucleus is formed, a very dense nucleus is formed. So what are the properties of this nuclear force? This is basically a short range force, which is the second property. First, it is the strongest interaction. It is the strongest force among all the 4 fundamental forces. And second, it is a short range force, which means it acts only when the distance between 2 particles is less than 3 femtometer, right? What is femtometer? It is 10 raised per minus 15 meter. So it acts only when the distance between the particles is less than 2 or 3 femtometer. And at this distance, the electrostatic force vanishes and nuclear force appears. So let's see what happens. These are 2 protons, and we have to bring these protons close to each other by applying so much of energy, because these 2 protons will repel each other, right? So we will apply so much energy to make them come closer like this. But once the distance between them is 2 or 3 femtometer, so the electrostatic force of repulsion vanishes and another type of interaction appears, which is called nuclear force. And then what happens? Now we are bringing them close by applying so much force because they are repelling each other. But once the distance is like 2 femtometer, now this will happen. So they will come closer, because now then we don't have to apply any energy, because the nuclear force is an attractive force. It attracts protons and protons, it attracts neutrons and protons, it attracts neutrons and neutrons. So it is an attractive force, right? At the distance of 1 femtometer or 2 femtometer or maximum 3 femtometer. If the distance between the particles is more than 3 femtometer, this force just vanishes and the electrostatic force appears. So the protons will start repelling each other again. So it is a short range force, right? Variation with distance. So let us understand this graph. This is a very important graph which is there in NCERT textbook. So if the distance between, we know when the system becomes stable, its total energy decreases, right? So when the particles are coming closer and nuclear forces are becoming more and more strong, then obviously the system of these two particles will become stable. So the total energy of the system will decrease. So this is the line of zero potential energy. So when the distance is 4 femtometer or when the distance is 3 femtometer, energy is almost zero. But when the distance between the particles start decreasing, when the distance between the particles start decreasing and it is becoming less than 3, then 2, then 1, then you can see that the energy of the system starts decreasing and it attains a minimum value of minus 100 mega electron volt. This MeV means mega electron volt. What is 1 electron volt? 1 electron volt energy, 1 electron volt energy is 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 19 joule, which means 1 mega electron volt energy is what? Mega is 10 raised to power 6. So if you multiply this with 10 raised to power 6, you get 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 13 joule. And that is 1 mega electron volt, right? 1 mega electron volt is 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 13 joule. 1.6 into 10 raised to power minus 13 joule. That is 1 mega electron, right? So when the distance between the particles is at this point is what? This point, this distance is 0.8 Fermi. This distance is 0.8 Fermi or 0.8 femtometer. When the distance between the nucleons is 0.8 femtometer, the nuclear force is strongest. So the potential energy of the system is minimum, right? So when the distance between the particles, when the distance between the nucleons is 0.8 Fermi, then the strength of nuclear force is maximum. So the energy of the system is minimum. So if you still try to decrease the distance further, then the nuclear force becomes repulsive. Obviously there must be some distance between the particles ना, वो दोनों घुस तो जाएंगे नहीं एक दूसरे के अंदर, right? So if you still try to decrease the distance, then the nuclear force becomes repulsive and the potential energy of the system start increasing rapidly, right? So this distance is the distance of most stability, right? So this is the variation with distance. It is charge independent, as we have discussed. It is also present between proton and proton. It is also present between proton and neutron. It is also present between neutron and neutron. Next is a saturation effect. Saturation effect is what? Saturation effect is means the nuclear force can affect only the other nucleons up to a certain distance, right? It can a nucleon can exert nuclear force on the neighboring nucleons only, not the nucleon which is far away from it, right? So that is called the saturation effect. Now we will discuss about the reason of the nuclear forces, why nucleons exist, nuclear forces on each other. The reason was found out by a Japanese scientist whose name was Yokawa. He said that nucleons exert nuclear forces on each other due to the exchange of a very small particle between them, and that particle is called meson, right? So these forces are due to the exchange of a particle called meson, right? And nuclear forces are non-central forces. These forces do not exist along the line which is joining the centers of the two nucleons, right? So this graph is very important and these properties of nuclear forces are very important. Now we will study the most important topic of this lecture, which is called nuclear binding energy. We will see that why nucleon why a nucleus, why a nucleus is very stable? Where is this energy coming from? So what happens? You must have heard a very important equation, Albert Einstein's important equation, which is E equal to mc square, right? So we will see the meaning of each and every term which is present in this equation. What happens when the nucleons, protons and neutrons, they come close towards each other to form a nucleus? So much energy is required, because the distance between these nucleons is very small in the nucleus, and to make these nucleons come to that small distance, so much energy is required, because these nucleons will repel each other initially, because they are positively charged. But neutrons are not going to repel each other. So if they are not going to repel each other, I'm talking about neutrons. So if neutrons are not going to repel each other, they are not going to attract each other either, right? So they are not going to come closer by their own, neither protons nor neutrons, or protons or neutrons. So these nucleons are not going to come closer by any means. So we have to apply so much energy. By we, I do not mean the human beings. That means some external agency is required to bring these nucleons closer to each other so that they can form nucleus. And this energy is so large that this process of formation of nucleus cannot happen on Earth. This process happens in stars, because in stars so much energy is present, and that energy is sufficient to bring these nucleons close to each other to form the nucleus, right? So what happens when these nucleons come close to each other and a nucleus is formed? Then it is observed that the mass of the nucleus which is formed is always less than the total mass of the nucleons, right? Let us say we have Z number of protons because Z is the atomic number, and atomic number means number of protons. So let us say we had Z protons and mass number is A, which is number of protons plus number of neutrons. So if I subtract Z from this, then A minus Z is simply the number of neutrons, right? And let us say Z number of protons, each of mass MP, and A minus Z number of neutrons, each of mass Mn. So what is the total mass? Total mass before the formation of nucleus, right? Total mass before formation of nucleus. Total mass before the formation of nucleus was Z into MP. This is the total mass of protons into A minus Z into Mn, which is the total mass of the neutron. So this is the total mass of the nucleus before the formation. And let us say the nucleus which is formed has mass M subscript capital N. So mass of nucleus is M into N, right? So it is observed that this mass of the nucleus after the formation is always less than the total mass of the nucleons. So some mass is destroyed during the formation of the nucleus, and that mass is converted into energy. That mass is converted into energy according to this equation, right? This c is the speed of light, and value of speed of light is 3 into 10 raised to power 8 meter per second. So square is 9 into 10 raised to power 16 meter per second. So speed of light, square of speed of light is a very large value. So even if the m is small, this E is going to be very large. So what happens? We know that whenever a stable thing forms, energy is released, and if the more stable is the entity which is formed, the more energy will be released. So nucleus, which is very stable, it is the most stable entity in the universe. So obviously, when this much stable entity is formed, so much energy will be released, right? When this stable entity is formed, so much energy will be released, and that energy comes from the mass of the nucleons, which gets destroyed during the formation of the nucleus, right? So the mass which is destroyed is represented by delta M, and we call it mass defect. We call it mass defect. So the energy released is delta M into C square, but you have to convert this in kg, right? M in kg. So how we will convert? These masses are generally given in AMUs, which is atomic mass unit. So this delta M will come out in atomic mass unit. So 1 AMU, 1 atomic mass unit, is 1.67 into 10 raised to power minus 27 kg. And using this conversion, we first can convert the mass of this delta M in kilogram, and then we will put this value in kg in this equation and put the value of C square, and we can find the amount of energy released when this particular nucleus is formed. And that is responsible for the stability of the nucleus, and that energy is responsible for binding all the nucleons together. That's why it is called the nuclear binding energy. And if you want to disintegrate the nucleus into nucleons, then you again have to supply the same amount of energy, and the nucleus gets disintegrated into the nucleons again, because they will again gain the mass which was destroyed during the formation of the nucleus using the energy that we have just supplied. So mass can be converted into energy, and energy can be converted into mass. There is one shortcut of doing the numericals based on this concept. We know that each and every question we have to convert AMU into kg using this relation, and then we have to multiply C square. So why we are doing this calculation again and again in every question? We will calculate this value first by putting 1 AMU here, and we will find the value of energy, which comes out to be 931.5 mega electron volt, which comes out to be 931.5 mega electron volt. So we know that when 1 AMU mass is destroyed, this much amount of energy is released. So you just directly multiply the value the value of delta M, which is in AMU. You directly multiply that value by 931.5 mega electron volt, and you will get the value of nuclear binding energy. And this nuclear binding energy, we have calculated the values of the nuclear binding energies of various nuclei, and this nuclear binding energy is very useful in comparing the stability of the nuclei. So, but that is the next concept. In this video, we were to discuss these concepts. I hope you would have understood all these concepts, and now you have to practice numericals based on this topic. You can find the numericals based on nuclear binding energy in NCERT textbook or in any major reference books that you are using for your study. So go and solve those numericals. I'll meet you in next lecture. Till then, all the best.